Recruiting, well, it's so different than New England. New England had 10 kids a year that you could sign to scholarships. Here, I think they've averaged 60 kids a year from the year 2000 on that have signed scholarships. So the proximity of more players makes it. Recruiting is never easy, but it gives you an opportunity to get kids into your program that you want to get into your program.
I'm sorry, you may have mentioned the opportunity for improvements in this program from where it's.
Well, anytime you're 3-9, you've got a lot of work to do. I think those kids were embarrassed that they were 3-9. They want to be a much better football team. They work extremely hard, and now it's up to us to coach them up and get them in the right spot so they can win.
Is there an ideal day by which you'd like to name a starter, whether it's at quarterback or?
We'll name it before the first game. If we can do it sooner, we'll do it sooner. There's no real set timetables, but it's got to be done by then. So hopefully someone will separate themselves from the pack right now.
Do you feel comfortable in having that one guy and saying he's our guy, or do you feel comfortable moving back and forth maybe between one or two?
I can't answer that because I haven't made the decision of who the guy is yet.
But as a philosophy standpoint,
No,
okay with two
you like to
quarterbacks?
have one guy. If you have two quarterbacks, you know one guy.
Do you feel you set the tone that you wanted to set? DeMario said yesterday that he was scared of you, that the players had got the message already. You talk about that dynamic.
I don't know why he'd be scared of me.
Are you scared of DeMario? Is the question.
I'm not going to hit him. I don't know the answers to that specific question, but as long as they understand it, it's no nonsense. It's very important. They can do what they want on their own time, but when they show up and it's time to do football, it's serious time. And they want to have a winning football program. We've got a pretty good track record of making things work. So if they follow our instruction and do the things that we want to do, then we'll probably have a chance to win some football games.
Do you have 2 or 3 or 4 steps to success in building a program?
I think it all starts with fundamentals, and that's what I learned from Coach Walsh a long time ago. Is you want to be fundamentally sound in whatever you do. Practice is extremely important, more so than anything. I mean, we practice hard, and we don't practice long, but we practice hard, and we create situations that I think give our players the confidence to succeed. And then, like any football coach speak and everything else, game day preparation, all that, I think, that's what we have to understand. And our ability to translate what we want done to the players so that they understand and they can carry out what they want to do.
From watching game film and watching the spring ball, at the beginning of spring ball, how fundamentally sound was this team?
Well, as I said, we didn't make a lot of judgments on what they did in the past. We went out there on our own. There's a lot of ways to skin cats and coaching this game, and we're coaching probably quite a lot of positions differently than they were coaching in the past.
How tricky is that? And if you come in with a pretty different way to skin a cat than before, how hard is that on a player to go through a different coaching style and techniques like that?
It's difficult. You looked at what are we, the third offensive coordinator for Dana is in 4 years or something, 5 years. So you can't keep having turnover. You expect to have continuity, and you expect the kids to have continuity and understand what you're trying to accomplish. So it's difficult for them, but hopefully we'll bring that continuity to the program that hasn't been there, and we build this thing as we go along to be the top program in this conference.
Talk about what your comfort level is being around the coaches that you're familiar with, as opposed to what you felt when you first became a head coach, now that you're starting to build your second program.
Well, it's a lot different. The difference has to come in building the program that, I had 6 assistants come with me, and both my strength coaches. So, it was a much easier transition for me this year. Having been able to play in this conference for 2 years, we haven't played everybody in the conference, but we've had, you have a pretty good idea of who's running what program and how they're running it.
Is it all strange to bump into some familiar faces from Boston College at this sort of thing?
Yeah, it is good. That'll be over with here shortly. So once we get through this year, it'll be over.
Do you have a philosophy on redshirting? Are you one of the people that just puts whoever's best on the field, or would you prefer to have them all be fifth-year seniors eventually? Or?
I explain redshirt if you're a guy that we sign, I tell you that you'll know when you're ready to play, and we'll know if you're ready to play. The concerns of the team comes first, even though your concerns are very important to us. If you have to play as a freshman and can't contribute, then you will play. If you don't have to, we'll redshirt you.
Where should the bar be set for this program?
High.
How high?
I think to tie. I think we can win a conference title. If you can do that, then you have a chance to win it all.
This program had won a conference title.
Well, that's where we're going to go. We got to get there.
How much have you increased discipline to play with these guys? You lost 7 straight last year. They averaged over 7 penalties a game. Is that something that you addressed?
Not to the extent that I think you all think. I mean, everybody talks about it. It's written so much that they can read it. I mean, I don't have to stress it. They knew it was a problem. As I said, we've established the way we're going to run the program, what's acceptable behavior, and they're going to have to abide by it or they won't play.
One of the things Kamara talked about yesterday is how you kind of instill this philosophy of not wanting to let down your teammates. What are some of the ways that you try to instill that to the players to not let down their teammates?
Well, I think, as I explained to them, when it becomes more important to them that they care about the guy next to them, behind them, and care about themselves, then you have a true selfless team. And I think that's the way that you win championships. And selflessness is more important in this whole thing than the individual. And if they get to that, and then they're not going to be jumping off sides. They're not going to be creating stupid penalties, because anytime a kid comes in and leads off with a personal pronoun, he's automatically wrong because he's thinking about himself. And I think that's what's, it's a team game, and those are all concepts of team that you have to establish in order to have a winning program. And those are the things that, if you talk to the teams that we had at Boston College, those are the most important things to them, because they're teammates and not their individual success. It's similar to when I had the interviews with some of the kids when I first got there. One kid was really upset that he didn't make the all-conference team. And I said, it's pretty simple. You're 3-9. A 10-2 weight team deserves to have 6 or 8 guys in the all-conference team. It's 3-9. We only rate to have 4 kids on that team. So, figure out when. If you win, then individual honors are going to fall.
Tom, the Naval Academy background, that's such the philosophy of the military as it is. Is that something that you just carried from one spot to the next as you kind of climbed the coach's ladder, that building where the guy next to you is more important than yourself?
That's more a Marine thing that you learn about the Marine Corps, selflessness. But, it's similar to the Naval Academy, but, when you're 18 years old, you go to the Naval Academy, and then, you're a Marine until you're 30-some years old. And in your formative years, you obviously, your traits, your qualities are imbued in you at that point, if that's the right word, embedded in you, I guess. But, working 22 years for George Welsh, who's also a Naval Academy graduate, it was easy to be around those principles.
You find that college athletes respond to discipline a lot like kids do, that there's so much, when they're regimented and they have that discipline instilled in them and expected in them, that they just kind of welcome it a lot more.
I think it's as much structure as anything. If they know, and it's like your own children. You establish the parameters of how they're supposed to be and what's good behavior. They're always going to test you. They always test you, right? They want to know, they want to do this, they want to do that, and they're always, you always got one child that will take you to the limit. So, you have to be fair, you have to be equitable, but when you get to that point where you push over the line, you got to get whacked.
Do you see kids or parents changing as you get older?
No, it's different because there's so many single parents than there were 15, 20 years ago. So, the whole culture has changed.
Is that part of maybe the me generation that you got to confront?
There you go. You got the me generation instead of the S generation. So, they grow up with that.
Were you that?
I've never paid any attention to them anyway, so it doesn't surprise.
Were you that kid that always had the test in your family?
I was testing my parents, and I was always getting whacked.